Welcome to this week's installment of Personal Mandela Effect Stories, Chapter 14, Story 1, B. I hope that you will use this information with a great deal of discretion. I doubt that you will have any real answer for me, but I need to get at least 10% of this off my chest. I myself have an interesting ancestry, as I have found out. My father descends of English Protestants and my mother is Scottish-Irish and is very ancient nobility of Scotland. I've always had a tendency to come across people that are related to either famous or historical people. My best friend is a cousin of a very famous Hollywood actor. One night, we even met the granddaughter of Charles Manson. Life is weird like that. Sometime in the middle of 2008, I was in a weird situation regarding one of my ex-girlfriends. I ended up being run over by a 2,500-pound trailer on the highway. I did not break any bones or sustain any severe injuries, which in itself is very bizarre. I remember I had turned to the Bible. I was an atheist most of my childhood and did not turn to God originally until after me and the previously mentioned girlfriend broke up. I had been very devastated emotionally. I remember being strangely drawn to a verse in the book of Revelations. The verse detailed the coming of together of the lion and the lamb. After having been released from the hospital after a trying ordeal, I relayed the message and the meaning of the verse to my parents. I picked up my Bible and opened it to find that it no longer existed. At the time, I was very quickly dismissed by my family as crazy. It wasn't until just over a year ago I discovered that other people were also in search of this elusive Bible verse. I don't know why or how, but in some way, I feel the Mandela Effect is my fault. Like, things were supposed to go a different way. Very few people around me know as much of this story as I have related to you. Beyond these things, I have had many strange encounters in my life. On May 3rd of 2015, I took my dog outside to use the bathroom before bed. I saw a saucer-shaped UFO come down into my neighbor's backyard. It made a very eerie noise, much like music that shook the air like a bell. That was not the first time I saw a UFO or the last. I have seen at least 15 throughout my life, with 3 encounters confirmed by other family members of mine who have also seen UFOs. I have also had strange encounters with ghost shadow figures and even what, in my estimation, must have been demons. Upon researching my mother's maiden name, I became aware that there are mentions in folklore involving fairies, that they were impervious to their lures as they were not afraid of the creatures. We also have family ties to the Black Forest in Germany. I have also in my life had dreams that would come true at a later point, as does my mother. I later found out that this is passed down by my great-grandmother, who grew up on the same street as Hitler when she was a kid. Apparently he was a bully and a jerk. I know this must sound pretty absurd. Most people close to me wonder why I'm such a hermit, wonder why I insist on keeping to myself. To be entirely honest, I'm not sure how to move forward with my life, with all the pain, shame, and confusion. Everyone has their theories. I believe the most credible of these claims is that we're in the last days. I, like many people, feel powerless to change anything at this time. My investigations have sent me down some weird roads. Certain aspects of this story should not be known by others. If this thing is my fault, I do not want to bear the brunt of the collective rage of a planet thrown into such chaos. The things I have seen are beyond strange. You talked about attending someone's funeral and then seeing them later. Certainly it can be assumed that there are some intent to get individuals or select individuals to go to a very specific path. Part of me worries what may change next. I have not experienced any health-related issues, but stress has been a big problem. These changes aggravate my sense of trust. I get plenty of doubt from every direction, even when I trust my memory. Which version of any event should we consider real? Which reality should we view as the truth? It's tiring. B. Story 2A. Dear Jynx, thank you for starting a Mandela Affect support group. We sure need one. I think we need several ME support groups around the country. Jynx, I'm stunned about Australia. I have an atlas published in 1963. I used to stare at Australia on the map because I always was amazed at how isolated it was from the rest of the world. I believe that Great Isolation is a major reason Australia was chosen to be a penal colony long ago. It was totally surrounded by vast amounts of ocean, the whole continent. Australia, north, south, east, west, totally isolated from any other large land masses. More than once I would stare at it on the map, marveling at its great isolation. At the time I had no idea I was actually staring at the Twilight Zone. Today every map has changed, and Australia's great isolation to the north of Australia is gone. It doesn't matter whether you see an old map or a new one, a flat map or a globe, all that formal, vast isolation to the north of Australia is vanished. Now northern Australia is only a stone's throw away from Indonesia and New Guinea. It was never that way before me. Before Emmy, Australia was known as the land down under. It's not down under anymore. Calling it down under makes little sense anymore. Related to this is a new, to me, name that I've never heard before the Emmy. The part of the world is sometimes called Australasia. Had you ever heard of that before? I personally doubt that this name existed before the Emmy. Also dumbfounded about the Arctic. Before the Emmy, it resembled Antarctic on a map or globe. Since the Emmy, the Arctic landmass is gone. Strange times we live in. Are you, like me, also dumbfounded by the huge variety of new animals that now exist in this reality? Anyone can Google or YouTube the word mandanimals to see what I mean. Many of these unfamiliar mandanimals are just weird. You'll also notice that many mandanimals amount to a combination of two familiar animals, like the raccoon dog, the hummingbird moth, the fossa, etc. The fossa appears to have a kind of mongoose head, but the body of a cougar. There are even new aircraft in this reality. Here's one named after the gannet bird, the fairy gannet airplane. Never heard of a gannet bird? And never heard of a fairy gannet airplane? And there are other new airplanes. Likewise, many new fish that I've never seen or heard of before. I wonder if the Emmy caused any previous animals to cease existing. For now our hands are too full with many additions, and we have rainbow trees and rainbow mountains, and some report rainbow clouds too. Altogether, the Emmy is stranger than anything I've ever seen on the Twilight Zone, and I believe I've seen every episode. Truth really is stranger than fiction, because fiction's limited to the human mind, but truth and nonfiction, they have no limits. Best wishes, A. Story 3, T. Hi Jynx, I love your channel. I've experienced many Mandela effects in the last few months, but most of them have already been reported on. However, today I had one I can't explain. Even my very skeptical girlfriend can't explain this one to me. For the last year or so, I've been buying a food brand called Simply Truth Organic. They make everything from almond milk to taco shells and almost anything else you can think of. It's always been Simply Truth Organic in my reality, but today I opened my refrigerator and saw that the label on our almond milk now says Simple Truth Organic. I thought I was seeing things or it was a misprint, so I went to look at a box of pasta and it also said Simple instead of Simply. I got chills because I'm so sure it's just changed. I asked my girlfriend if that was supposed to be Simply or Simple, and she immediately said Simply. She had no doubt. Anyway, maybe I'm losing my mind and it's been simple all along. Can you find out maybe from your followers? Thanks, T. Every thought shared is a step closer to understanding these strange effects and glitches. Perhaps if we stack them atop each other high enough, we will be far enough above the trees that we'll be able to look down and see the answer. Until then, find great peace in knowing that you are not alone.